Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best anime-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here in Los Angeles, California. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining us as we, a bunch of international friends, talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, a little bit of television. Some people even like to ask about sports now and again. Whatever it is we want to talk about, that's what we're going to do here today. And I am, of course, honored and privileged to be joined by the one and the only, the great Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
Good morning, John. You know, I'm kind of all at Twitter thinking that maybe Whoopi Goldberg might host the Oscars.
Yeah, I got a feeling we're going to have to get into that and just at least talk about that for a second. And also joining us today, equally great and fabulous, the wonderful Ashley Whalen, ladies and gentlemen. Ashley, how are you?
Hey, I am good. I would love some Whoopi Goldberg action. Well, maybe. What do you guys think about that rumor? I don't know.
Well, I mean, as Rob alluded to, Rob, for people who haven't heard about this, what's going on? What's the situation here?
Well, I just read an article in The Guardian, because you know how reputable those UK tabloids are. No, but The Guardian's usually somewhat, left-leaning, but reports good news, says that there is a rumor, because Whoopi Goldberg has not been appearing, I guess, on The View this week, that maybe, because of her past association with the Oscars, maybe she might be a secret Oscar host. And you know what? What a way, in my mind, to salvage all of the ridiculousness of the governor's body of the Academy. I mean, if she were to just walk out on stage, I think it would be a moment of great triumph. But people love that.
But let's be clear here. The only evidence that is pointing towards this is that she hasn't been on set at The View. That's it. That's the totality of the evidence. Yeah, I don't know if that works. But I'll tell you what I do like. The idea in today's current culture, the idea of just announce the host. Never announce who the host of the Oscar is. Let nobody know until the moment they walk out on stage. So that way, people don't have 2 months to try to pick apart their history and everything like that. Just have them walk out on stage and that's it. I'm hosting the Oscars, and just be there and kind of take it that way.
She's pretty unassailable. She's hosted them before, and people know her politics, and they certainly know about her checkered, storied past. So
it would be an interesting choice.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
It would be interesting. All right, hey guys, listen. Before I go any further here, I had somebody drop me a note the other day to say, "Hey, John, you always used to talk about this one thing. Why don't you do it anymore?" And I thought, oh, you're right. I really should. Guys, before we get into our main topics today, I want to encourage you guys to check out this app and use this app. It is called Share the Meal, and it's pretty awesome. I use it all the time. I've been using it for a few years now. Look, everybody, all of us here want to do something good. We all love the idea of doing something good, but how do you do it? How do I have time to do it? Listen, Share the Meal is this terrific app that I've been using for a few years now. For you guys who've been watching me for a while, you remember this app. It's really simple to do. Every time you go out and eat, this is a great way to remember. Every time you go out to eat dinner or something like that, or you go out to McDonald's to have lunch, that reminds you, oh yeah, open up, share the meal, and then just hit the button on the bottom, share the meal. And now you've automatically donated an amount you pre-assign, so whether it's 50 cents or $1 or whatever, and you assign the meal. It's run by the United Nations. It feeds hungry children around the world. It is quick, it's easy, it's painless, it's cheap, and you make a difference in somebody's lives. So once again, guys, go and check out. It's on iOS and Android. Go and check out Share the Meal, install it, and I think you're going to get addicted to using it like me and a bunch of people I know have, and I think you're really going to love it. Okay, with that down and out of the way, guys, let's go on to our topics today. How do we select our topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You guys select the topics by emailing your topics and questions to us anytime, 24/7, to john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put that word topic in the subject line, guys. And as always, guys, listen to me. Keep those emails to 90 words or less, or else they just become these thesis papers that I cannot even fit onto the screen, even if I wanted to. So, with that down and out of the way, Ashley, what is our first email today?
First one up is from Samir. Hi, love the show. So the critics' review embargo for Captain Marvel is March 5th as of today, only 3 days before the release on the 8th. Normally when Disney feels good about their movie, they lift the embargo a week or longer before it's released. Should we be worried?
All right, so that is a question that's been coming out a little bit. It's like, wait a minute. The review embargo is 3 or 4 days before the movie comes out. Doesn't Disney, and you're right, doesn't Disney normally lift the review embargoes much, much earlier? There's a caveat to that, though, and there's a big asterisk here. They lifted the social media embargo yesterday, which meant all the critics that have gone to see the film were now free to jump online on their social media platforms and share their quick thoughts about the movie. So while we're not getting their full laid out explained reviews, because they're trying to keep a number of things under wraps, much like they did with Infinity War. This is the exact same pattern they did with Infinity War. They are letting people hop online now to share their thoughts and opinions with everybody. And Rob, the reviews so far were 100%. I read a whole ton of people's reactions to this last night, and across the board, the reaction to this movie has been nothing short of completely outstanding. And it's not just that people are reacting, it's the people that specifically are reacting. That's impressive. Let's go over and take a look at some of the things that are being shared. Scott Menzel, he's the founder of the Los Angeles Online Film Critics Society. He wrote, Captain Marvel is everything that I hoped it would be. It feels completely unlike any other Marvel film, a unique and fresh take on an origin story that feels new. Brie Larson is fantastic as Carol Danvers. This is one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time. Eric Davis from Hollywood.com writes, Captain Marvel has a great 90s sci-fi vibe with a tone unlike any other Marvel film. We hear that a lot. A lot of people saying this is like no other Marvel film we've had before. Has a great 90s sci-fi vibe with a tone unlike any other Marvel movie. Really, it's retro and trippy, mysterious and dorky. It's funny and surprising in places and badass in all the right places. It remains entertaining because it's always changing. It's got the right stuff. Jim Javoda from IGN writes, Captain Marvel was a lot of fun, just enough 90s nostalgia without overdoing it. Brie Larson is great. Ditto Sam Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn. Goose the Cat is perfect. Okay, nice pun. Some nice surprises and clever decisions throughout. Cool science fiction elements and funny. Thumbs up. Eric Eisenberg from Cinema Blend writes, Captain Marvel is a blast. Had some cool surprises I definitely didn't see coming, and the mystery/origin it weaves is engaging and fun. Brie Larson is awesome and makes a fantastic first step into the MCU. But they go on. Peter Soretta from Slash Film writes, Captain Marvel is a great origin story. Brie's buddy cop chemistry with Samuel L. Jackson is so much fun, and her relationship with Lashana Lynch is the real heart of it. Ben Mendelsohn and the cat both steal the show. Ash Croson from Entertainment Tonight writes, Captain Marvel takes a deep 90s breath, totally awesome. Never related to a Marvel character quite like Carol. She's the stubborn, witty 90s kid. I think I am. Jackie Ling from Entertainment Weekly writes, Captain Marvel had space battles, car chases, an amazing 90s soundtrack, and an adorable cat. A surprisingly fun script, laughed so much, great to finally see this kick-butt heroine in action. But guys, the best reaction, I thought, came from Angie Hun, who I believe is over at IO9 right now. Anyway, but Angie Hun had the best reaction. She wrote, Captain Marvel, well, Thanos is fucked. So there you go. These are just, and guys, believe me when I tell you, this is just a sample of the responses that came out last night, overwhelmingly positive. Now, here's the fun thing about this. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but there are a couple of those critics that I know were very skeptical going into that film, that I know for a fact were quite skeptical about Captain Marvel going into the film. Now, I haven't seen the film yet myself. I wasn't there. I have the option of either going to one of the early press screenings or going to the premiere. I choose the premiere every time. So for all I know, the movie is hot, steaming garbage. I don't know. I haven't seen it. But it is rather intriguing to me that a couple of these people who I know were not optimistic about Captain Marvel went into it and are saying stuff like this. Rob, you're reading reactions like this and much more. By the way, I never saw a single negative reaction to this thing. Not one. A lot of things about Ben Mendelsohn is insanely good in this thing. A lot of stuff about this is unlike any other Marvel film we've ever seen before, which is not exactly something the trailers show us. The trailers, look, Rob, you and I have both said the trailers have not exactly blown us away. But anyway, you're hearing this stuff. How do you respond to stuff like this? What's your reaction hearing these reviews?
Well, first of all, Marvel did send us our shill check, so we can cash in now. Now,
that's sweet Disney money.
What I don't understand, first of all, the idea that a studio would send us money to wax rhapsodic about their movies is just silly. But first of all, as you and I well know, there are things that happen in this movie that they don't want to reveal.
Yes.
And Marvel has been very good. And there's things that have been confirmed to me that I had hoped I would see that I know I'm now going to see that makes me even more excited. And the fact that, you know, they Marvel has done, why people even want to bet against what the MCU is doing. Like, there are naysayers that are going to poo-poo these movies, but for what they are such well-crafted and well-thought-through entertainments that do such a wonderful job of honoring their comic book origins while still building on a cinematic universe, the likes of which we've never seen before. And, you know, everybody's talking about the 90s nostalgia, but what really makes me look even more forward to this film is how people have really called it, other critics, not just the ones you wrote or read, that this is a cosmic space adventure, you know, which is what I was hoping. And you get a little of that. You see that, okay, there's some things in space and there's maybe a battle or two, but I was hoping that this would be a cosmic romp, you know, in addition to being a superhero origin story, in addition to being, you know, in my mind, I think this is the long kiss goodnight of the MCU, even though it's probably not. But, you know, Gina Davis, the mysterious female badass who has a shrouded past, you know, teams up with Sam Jackson. And after these responses last night, man, I am pumped. I mean, I want to have my own Rocky montage as I work out, getting ready to go see this movie, because, man, I'm excited.
Yeah, but you know what? One of the funny things here is, to me, Rob, is it highlights, because we're reading all these different things, and it's not just a single dimensional thing that we're hearing about. It's not just people saying, well, yeah, it's fun. Like, some movies are just fun, and that's great.
Right.
It's not that just some people are saying, oh, well, yeah, and it's funny. It's the action's incredible. The great dynamic between Samuel Jackson and Brie Larson, the mystery of it. I like the way that the one put it, said the dorkiness of it, and all that kind of stuff. But it does bring up one little bit of a negative thing here, and I don't want to twist negative, but at least let me throw this out there.
What are you talking about?
It kind of highlights to me again, because, Rob, as I alluded to, neither you nor I were exactly blown away by the trailers for this film.
No.
We were not blown away by them. I mean, I thought they were okay. I thought the first one was decent for a first trailer. I thought the second one was an improvement, but not as good as it should have been. I enjoyed the final trailer, but at no point did we ever go like, oh, like the Yesterday trailer, the Beatles movie, right? That Yesterday trailer came out and we were just like, wow, this has sold us. We're on board with this, all this kind of stuff. And I don't think there was ever a point for you or I that we ever felt like any of the Captain Marvel trailers gave us that experience. And so what I'm wondering is, okay, let's just go on face value for a second. Let's go on face value of what the reviews are saying, that it is fun and it's exciting, tremendous Ben Mendelsohn character, tremendous all this kind of stuff. If all that's true, and we have no reason to believe it's not, but if it is, why didn't you communicate any of that in your trailers? Like, it's not like you've only put a one trailer. Like, if it is all this, because I'm reading all this stuff and I'm like, this is for the same movie that we just saw all these mediocre kind of trailers for? Like, I don't know. How would you respond to my question like that?
I just think they don't have to show us anything anymore. I mean, one of the great joys of Infinity War was going into that film and not knowing anything about it and being delighted every step of the way. Like, there was so much, you know, Marvel's been really good about, they'll pick like 3 scenes from their movies and they keep recycling those scenes and adding a little bit more, sprinkling a little bit more and giving us a little bit more information. But really, they're keeping the joy of these movies under wraps, because I think what they've really come to understand is they've already got a built-in fan base. We're looking at the 21st and 22nd movies of Marvel, this initial 3-phase launch over 10 years. And I think they've really ramped up the climax, and they just didn't want to, like, we know there's a cat in it. You know, they've put this cat in the advertisement. There's a one sheet for the cat, you know, and if you know anything about the Captain Marvel history, the cat could be a very interesting character, but we haven't seen the cat. We haven't seen Ben Mendelsohn really, you know, maybe a glimpse, but we haven't seen him giving some villain monologue or something. And they've shown us, you can't go wrong showing Sam Jackson and Brie Larson doing a little, you know, back and forth. And that's all we've got. And maybe, there's Annette Bening. Wow, she's in this movie. Who does she play? We don't know. And I just think that they've given us just enough of a taste. And now I'm convinced, after hearing these reviews, we're in for a real treat. I mean, a big, giant jelly donut of 90s awesome sci-fi action adventure superhero heroism.
But let's not let the marketing department over Disney off the hook just that easy, because you brought up Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
Infinity War's marketing did blow our socks off. Infinity War marketing, their trailers and stuff like that were the bang trailers that we keep talking about that we're waiting to see from like some other movies and stuff like that, like Endgame and things like that. The Infinity War marketing did give us that sense of adventure and excitement and the stakes that were at hand with Thanos and all that. It gave us all of that. Why not just do that with the Captain Marvel trailers? I just can't help but feel that if all these reactions are true, that I kind of feel like the marketing department at Marvel may have missed an opportunity. Because look, the tracking numbers for Captain Marvel have gone up. Fine. But I cannot help but think that no matter how big Captain Marvel opens, whether it's 90 million like I predicted, or 100 or 120, which is what Variety is saying now, or 160 that Box Office Pro is saying it's going to open at, regardless, I just can't help but feel that, you know, the general sense around the internet about the Captain Marvel marketing was that it was okay. And I just can't help but feel like if they had just done what they did with Infinity War, which granted is not as easy as it sounds. I understand. I'm saying it as if it's the easiest thing in the world to do. And I acknowledge that it's not. But if they are, I cannot help but feeling it. It could have been potentially a much bigger opening weekend hit. But I don't know. But it's still encouraging to see this stuff. I mean, regardless, right?
I think... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I feel like Captain Marvel marketing is everywhere right now, or maybe I'm just like living in LA, but I just feel like it's in my face and posters are everywhere. People are talking about it. It doesn't seem like it's like, you know, it seems like it's going to be a giant film to me. Whereas some of the other spinoff films, I feel like were kind of more out of nowhere to me.
And look, absolutely. They are doing a lot of marketing. Mm-hmm. I'm just not sure how good the marketing has been. That's kind of my question. I kind of feel like as we're heading now into the final days before the movie comes out, I feel like the marketing department there at Disney and Marvel may have dropped the ball on this. But hey, the most important thing is the movie good? And what we're getting across the board right now is overwhelming positive reactions, even from some people that I know were very skeptical about this movie going in. So now look, guys, make sure you understand this. And just because a bunch of people saw it the other night who happen to, you know, be film critics, whatever, and they liked it, that doesn't automatically mean you're going to like it. And it certainly doesn't mean I'm automatically going to like it either. So, hey, you know, follow your own gut, follow your own instinct. But this is at least a positive thing that I think we can all be pretty excited about. And I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit more about Captain Marvel as we get into the live questions. But for now, Ashley, let's move on to the second email today.
Great. Second one is from Brian Cruz. The trailer for the Netflix Motley Crue biopic went up right as you guys went live yesterday. Was wondering if you got a chance to see it and what you thought. As a diehard Crue fan, it's easily one of my most anticipated movies ever.
Rob, we heard about this yesterday. What are you thinking about this new The Dirt trailer?
Dude, as soon as we went off air, I'm like, I went and watched that trailer like 4 times. I mean, if you're a Crue fan, you know, and who isn't, that trailer gave me everything I hoped it would give me. And man, does it look fun. I really like the casting. I love the fact that we're now going to get a Motley Crue biopic. We're going to get an Elton John biopic on the heels of Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it's great. I love me some documentaries about rock bands. Like I love the Grateful Dead documentary. One afternoon, I was working on Tango Shalom and Shirley Temple's old mansion. I was editing it. This Grateful Dead documentary went live and no one was in the house. So I watched the entire, it's like 8 parts, and I watched the whole thing. And I love biopics about bands or documentaries about bands. And this trailer looks great.
I'll tell you what, no matter how good you think Motley Crue is, they will never be as good as Motley Lou. Points to any of you who know what that reference is. Anyway, they will never be as good as Motley Lou. I'll tell you what, I went and watched the trailer. Yawn.
Come on.
And I don't know, maybe I'm just being negative on trailers today. I'm poo-pooing on the Captain Marvel trailers. I'm poo-pooing on this one. I don't know, man. I watched this trailer and I thought, how on earth can you make a trailer about Motley Crue and have it not be interesting? And I don't know. You know what it felt like to me? It felt like a Tropic Thunder trailer of a Motley Crue movie. It felt like I was watching Tropic Thunder, and then a bunch of the characters in Tropic Thunder said, we're going to make a Motley Crue movie, and they do one of their fake trailers. That's what it felt like to me. I don't know why, but I did not find it interesting. I thought it felt kind of forced.
Oh,
and
man.
it did nothing for me to get me interested in seeing it. Now, I'm no marketing genius, because you could fairly ask me, well, John, what would you have done differently? Well, I don't know. I'm not a marketing genius. It's not my profession. That's why I do this. So, because I'm not very good at that kind of stuff. But I just feel like the guys who did this one aren't very good at it either. No, all I'm saying is, look, I didn't think it looked terrible. I didn't. I wish I had that enthusiasm that you had for it, Rob, because, that excitement. As soon as I mentioned, what do you think about the trailer, Rob, and seeing your face light up, I wanted to feel that, but I don't know. It just felt very pedestrian to me. It just felt very pedestrian to me, but you really dug it. You thought it was great.
Well, I mean, if as far as hard rock bands go, Motley Crue kind of is pedestrian. So, well, I mean, to me, it was like it. When I first moved to LA in the late 80s, that the whole Sunset Strip rock scene, Gazaris and the people hanging out at the Rainbow. I mean, all of that was I kind of caught the tail end of that.
The Troubadour and
all of that, and so it captured a kind of a moment in time. And, I can see it looked a little sanitized. I mean, the way it was shot was it looks a little brightly colored and all that. But I mean, it's what I wanted. It's like, I'm like, if I'm going to see a trailer for a Motley Crue biopic, give me what I want. And look, they drop a television on a Mercedes in the trailer. I'm like, and then they're out. We're Motley Crue. We're here all week. We're in room whatever.
That was the most Motley Crue thing about the trailer to me. I like that. And they wave. They don't throw it. They wave. Hey, that was the most Motley Crue moment of the trailer.
Heather
I like
got
that.
Name checked. I mean, come on. This is all good.
What did you think, Ashley? You had a chance to check out the trailer. What did you think about it?
I think the word sanitized is like the best way to describe it. I'm excited for the music and the chaos and the heroin overdosing and the car crashes. And
I'm excited for the heroin overdoses. That's Ashley's new TV. That's Ashley's new T-shirt right there.
I'm excited for all the drama that the movie seems to have in it, and I just like the story of all the characters. But I think that the look of the film looks a little, I don't know, polished, I'd say.
Yeah, I felt that way too.
Mm-hmm.
It needed to be like somebody.
It's not as gritty and like raw as you'd think, like a rock and roll, like crazy film.
Throw some coffee on the lens.
Yeah, exactly. Put some
Throw
dirt
coffee on the lens. I love it. But hey, would you agree with this critique, or maybe shoot this one down, Rob? If I were to say that, watching the trailer, if you were to say to me, this is either a theatrical release film or a straight to Netflix film, I would easily look at this trailer and go, oh, this doesn't feel like a theatrical film. This feels like a Netflix film. Would you agree with that, or would you disagree with that? How would you approach that?
Well, I don't, again, I have to wait and see, honestly.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I have to wait and see. And also, truth be told, full disclosure, one of the producers of the film, Eric Olson, was one of my executive producers on The Hills Run Red, and I'm quite fond of him as a person, and he's great with story, and this has been a passion project of his basically since, well, for 10 years. And I do love it when I see somebody I know and realize their dream. And good on Eric Olson. There's a lot of producers on this movie, and I know he had to probably navigate many obstacles to get this made.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on now to the third email today. What's next, Ashley?
All right, this one's from Sam Jewell. Dear John and Robert and all the rest of the crew, my question may be silly, but I was wondering if Marvel ever decides to do Black Widow movie, could they use a young Frank Castle as a side character or Hawkeye as a side character in the movie? Thanks for all you guys do, and bring on the filthy.
Rob, we talked the other day that it's now official. It took a little longer than we thought, but The Punisher is now canceled. Yeah. I've speculated that instead of just picking these series back up and putting them on Hulu or on Disney Plus or anything like that, that Marvel probably has a plan to take these characters, reinvent them and reboot them and bring them into the MCU and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. What would you think about the notion of taking a character like Punisher and making him a character in a Black Widow movie? Now, we do have precedent for this before, right? Like when Marvel was bringing Spider-Man back into the MCU, they leveraged an existing OG MCU character in Tony Stark to be there to kind of help bring that character along in. If Disney or Marvel wanted to introduce a new Punisher into the MCU, could attaching him to a movie like Black Widow, could that be the right move, or is that just too far-fetched?
No, I think that's exactly what they might do, although I would expect any Black Widow movie to deal with the relationship she had with Hawkeye. I mean, clearly they were comrades in arms. I mean, that was very well established in the Avengers. How she was desperately worried about him and wanted to make sure he was okay, and after what had happened, and I think that their relationship would be something you could delve into. And Punisher, Frank Castle, he was covert ops, he was a black ops guy. I mean, maybe they crossed paths on a mission in Europe somewhere. You never know, but I think that's Marvel's modus operandi, is that unlike the Star Wars universe where everybody seems to meet everybody else, even though it's in a galaxy far, far away, the Marvel universe makes sense that people are crossing paths because there are certain kind of people. Black Widow's a covert operative. Frank Castle was a covert operative. Hawkeye is the same thing. Why not have them cross paths? What if they were at odds? What if Frank Castle was on the opposite side of Black Widow and they have a little scrap in the movie or something?
That's exactly where my head went to, because you could play this with borrowing some of the thematic storylines from Daredevil season 2, that it almost becomes Black Widow has this mission to take down this hyper effective and violent vigilante, right, known as Punisher, that, when the cops get close to him, the cops end up in the hospital. And so she needs to go after him. And because, and that is a little bit like the storyline they used in Daredevil season 2, right? He's the guy that the heroes feel that they need to bring down. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they ended up working together, but Frank still follows his own path, something like that. So that kind of makes sense to me. I could see them doing something like that, I guess.
But they said also that this movie is going to take place pre-Avengers. So if
the Black Widow movie?
Yeah.
I did not hear that.
Yeah, I read something recently that it was going to be take place pre-Avengers. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I don't know where I read that. I read it in the last couple of days, which I thought was interesting because that would free them up to do something that isn't, they're not so beholden, kind of the way Captain Marvel is not beholden now to the rest of the Avengers. So I think delving into Natasha's past as an international covert operative, I mean, that's when I was saying she could run afoul of Frank Castle, he could be a covert operative as well. And it could be on the international stage pre-Punisher. And although I don't know for a fact.
I have a hard time believing an entire Black Widow movie, which by the time it comes out, it'll be over 10 years or around 10 years since Avengers came out. And to say that it happens even before that. So now you're saying the events are like 12 years older. Scarlett Johansson, I mean, I could see them doing like, it's a time jumping kind of thing where
could be
kind of like a Highlander. Some of it, they show you what happened in the past and they flash forward to now. Then they go back to something that happened in the past. Because then you could do both, right?
Yep.
And then you could have Frank Castle when he actually worked with the government. And then Frank Castle, now I've gone my own way, sort of thing. I don't know. That's a terrible John Bernthal I just did. That was a terrible John Bernthal. Anyway, lots of options. Bottom line is I have no idea if this is actually going to happen, but I'd be down. If they did something like this, I think it fits in. I think there's precedent for it. Disney's done something like this before, so why not? The only question that remains, though, Robert, is do you bring Punisher into a PG universe? Because Bob Iger's already said that there's going to be separate banner for R-rated films. Can you bring Frank Castle into your PG-13 MCU universe? That I don't know. That's a bigger question mark to me. All right, Ashley, what's the next topic today?
Next one, Shift Stalker. With all this speculation on Endgame and who's killing Thanos, here's another speculation everyone is not talking about. What if Thanos is already dead from his own snap? Ooh. Odds were 50-50, and we were still alive. and he was still alive when Thor struck him. And once he snaps, he's greeted by young Gamora and seems to be in some kind of Valhalla resting place like in Gladiator. Your thoughts?
It's not a terrible theory.
Nope.
What I will say is, though, there are a couple of problems that make it a little bit problematic. Number one, the snap happens, and yes, he has that kind of Valhalla kind of vision with baby Gamora. What did it cost? Everything. Okay, yeah, that was there too. But then it goes back to him, uses the Space Stone one more time to open up the portal, disappears through the portal, Stormbreaker falls off of him, and then we see him again later with the mangled gauntlet and everything, sitting down, looking out over a grateful universe, as he puts it, right? So I don't think he dies in his own snap, but what that does bring up to me that I think is intriguing is the notion of, okay, I don't think it would be consistent to say he died from the snap, but what if he just died? What if he just died there, sitting, he goes there, because remember, the Russo brothers didn't just say in the director commentary of Infinity War that the gauntlet was permanently damaged. They also specifically said that Thanos himself was permanently damaged as well. They said Thanos himself was permanently damaged. What if, that opening scene that we see in the trailer with Thor, with the silhouette from behind, we see Thor walking into what looks like the planet that Thanos went off and retired to. And we see in the trailers his armor just hanging there, kind of like a scarecrow. What if Thor walks through that, gets there, and sees Thanos still sitting in that same spot he was sitting in at the end of Infinity War, except he died from his wounds from Stormbreaker. And he's dead. He's gone. And what if that was the Avengers' plan? We've tracked down Thanos, we get the gauntlet from him, and we make him undo this. Thor tracks him down, he gets there, but he's dead, and the gauntlet is damaged beyond repair. The gauntlet, as the Russo brothers say, was permanently damaged. I'll tell you what, I'm not willing to go out, Robert, and say that's what's going to happen. Not at all. But that's an intriguing proposition, that they get there, Thanos is already dead and doesn't have a big part to play in the rest of the movie, and it throws a wrench in the Avengers' initial plans to fix everything. I don't know. Could you see something like that working, Rob?
Well, I love that. I speculated last week that what if the movie opens with Thor and Thanos having a conversation?
Which is awesome.
But this is awesome too. Like, how amazing would it be if Thor shows up on wherever Thanos is and finds him sitting there with a smile on his face, dead, and the gauntlet wrecked? I mean, and then you hear dun dun dun, you see the Endgame. I mean, what a way to open a movie, because again, the audience is going to sit there with its mouth agape, because everything we've speculated about, well, now what do? Now there's no way back. There's no way to undo the snap. So, and maybe that's what drives Captain America into some kind of an encounter group therapy session, where he realizes that any hope he might have had of reverting this horrible thing that happened is gone. So I love that idea. I mean, I'm really sold on this idea of opening the movie in a place that's just bleak.
And what a great way to subvert all the expectations that so many of the fans have, that it's going to be about getting the gauntlet and using it for time travel to go back, or getting the gauntlet and undoing the snap, or like Gamora or Nebula is going to get the gauntlet. Captain America at some point is going to wear the gauntlet. So many of the theories of Endgame, understandably so, revolve around the gauntlet. And what an amazing move by Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers, if they were to do this, and we're not saying they're going to do it, but if they were to do this, to instantly in the first minute completely subvert everybody's expectations. You know what it's like? It's like using a sports analogy, guys, follow me here. It's like the March Madness comes along, and like everybody puts their brackets together, and all of a sudden in the first round, a number 16 seed beats a first seed, and now everybody's bracket is useless. Everybody just throws away their bracket. They call it a bracket buster. If that happens, like right in the first scene, Thor shows up there to get him back. He's already dead. Gauntlet's wrecked. There goes everybody's brackets. Everybody with their theories about where this movie's going to go is going to be completely out the window, just like that. And I'll put us all in the place of, now we have no idea what's going to happen in this movie. Now we have no idea what to expect from this movie if they start it that way. I'm not saying that's what they have to do. I'm sure there's many ways they can start this movie to put us in that kind of a place. But that would be a very interesting way to do it. And I, for one, would be excited about it.
To give you another example, when Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan was coming out, everyone knew that Spock was going to die. And there was all this fan upheaval, and people were like, Spock's going to die. And what happens? They opened that movie with a scene in a simulator. And the Enterprise is attacked, and everybody dies, even though it's in a simulator. And then at the end of that scene, the end of the sequence, the button is Spock walks out to talk to Admiral Kirk, and Admiral Kirk says, "Aren't you dead?" And so when I was watching the movie, I'm like, it was all a misdirect. They were all playing with us. So you let your guard down. And then, of course,
was that the
never cried in a movie theater was when Spock really died. But I thought that
the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. The one I always mispronounce. That was the Kobayashi Maru, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That was the exercise. Did I say it right?
Yeah, 1906. Yes, Kobayashi Maru.
Ashley, as somebody who's not like the hardcore MCU fan here and stuff like that, what kind of expectations, you're hearing everybody talking about this, what kind of expectations are you going into this movie with?
That he is alive and well, and I would hate it if he was dead, actually. I don't like this idea at all. I mean, I like the idea, maybe what Rob was saying, how he goes and he has a conversation with him and then smashes his head. But I don't want him to, it is like an interesting take on it. And I can see that like everybody in the movie theater would be like, what? And like, what's going to happen now? And if they do that and then they pull it off and make a good movie, that would be even more impressive. But just like when you guys were talking about it the whole time, I was just like, I hate this idea. I don't want him to be dead.
I got one better for you. What if Thor finds Thanos dead, the gauntlet destroyed, Thor leaves, then someone else shows up, takes Thanos' body and the gauntlet, disappears, and then the Avengers credit comes on.
Okay. And it's Galactus! And it's Galactus. I'm just kidding.
Somebody we've never seen before.
Yeah,
I like
maybe.
that. I can get into that. But yeah, the idea of just like him, I don't know, the idea of him just being dead, I kind of want to see him just one last time.
Well, and I think probably there might be a lot of people that feel that way, Ashley, because there's going to be a sense of, it'll be a little bit, I think to some people it'll be a little bit dissatisfying. Like,
I need
you want to see somebody take Thanos down.
Yeah.
Nobody could take Thanos down. We had this whole movie where he won. He won the last movie. So we want to see Hulk take him down, or Thor take him down, or Iron Man, or Captain America.
It's kind of like when like a serial killer like offs himself, and then you're like, but we didn't even get to put him in jail,
Wait a minute, Ashley, did you say you wanted to see Justice?
Oh, God.
Because I want to see Justice.
Here we go. We can't make it through one bloody show.
One show.
You got to show off that poster sometime, Rob, by the way. I'm not encouraging you to do that now, though.
I'll do it again.
All right, let's move on to the final email of the day.
Okay, last one is Terrence Wally. Hi, John and crew. I saw online that Gwyneth Paltrow is retiring from the MCU after Endgame. How important do you think her contributions were to where the MCU is now? Also, do you think this kind of confirms Tony dies, since there is no way to explain Tony being around in future films without Paltrow? Thoughts?
First of all, you can't overstate, actually, and this may seem weird, but you cannot overstate the importance Gwyneth Paltrow has had to this series. Because think about this. One of the reasons, and not everybody will say this off the top of their head, but for me, I've always been very cognizant of this. One of the reasons the first Iron Man movie, for me, worked so well was because of this, in a genre where romances always suck. They gave us this incredibly charming, sweet, engaging, funny, edgy kind of relationship and dynamic between Tony and Pepper. Iron Man 1, and when we all think of Iron Man 1, we don't instantly think of Pepper, and I understand why, and that's cool, but when you really break it down, it's that dynamic between Tony and Pepper, I think, that brings the heart and the charm to that movie. This is a movie that's got a lot of elements, but the heart and charm, to me, comes from that dynamic and that relationship. And that's one of the big reasons, not the only reason, but one of the big reasons why it works so well. Without Pepper, I don't think that movie works as well. And without Iron Man 1 working so well, we simply don't have the MCU as we have it today. It was that first movie that came out of the races, blew everybody away, loved everything, and set the pace for what would become the MCU. And I think Gwyneth Paltrow's character is a big part of that. And I'll tell you what else, Rob. When I was at the Infinity War premiere, Robert Downey Jr., they brought the whole cast up on the stage, and Robert Downey Jr. was standing there. And he was, one of the big things he talked about, he goes, I want to talk about the first lady of the MCU. And he talked about Gwyneth Paltrow and Pepper Potts. Now think what you will about Gwyneth Paltrow outside of the movies and all that kind of stuff. But Robert Downey Jr. then waxed poetic for a good couple of minutes, just talking about how great she was and how important she was and is to the MCU and where they're at now. She goes, now there's a lot of people being able to take the torch and run with it that started as one torch, and that was Gwyneth. He said, and carried it. Her leaving the MCU is not a surprising thing. Like, we thought for a while she had left the MCU already. Remember that we thought, right, she was already gone from the MCU. That's why in Civil War they said Tony and Pepper were on a break and all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden she popped up in Spider-Man Homecoming. It's like, wait a minute, she's back, and all this kind of stuff. But it's also important to point this out, Rob, that in the interview in which she said she was retiring, she's getting too old for this shit, sort of thing, she did say this, though. She's totally open to coming back and playing cameos. She goes, hey, I love these people. They call me, say, hey, we need you on set for like a day or two to come and shoot something. She says, I'm totally open to doing that. But, as far as going away for 3 months to shoot a Marvel film at this point, I'm kind of past that now. She's got new companies that she's running and all this kind of stuff. I get it. So to me, that sort of suggests that Gwyneth is still alive, that Pepper's still alive at the end of this movie. Anyway, Robert, you hear about she's going to kind of be stepping back, the end of Pepper Potts in the MCU, other than maybe cameos in the future. How do you see her role in the MCU, and how do you respond to, the news that she's stepping back?
Well, I don't know if you guys follow the Spice Girls, but Posh Spice is not returning for their new world tour.
No, what?
And I know. And I'm like, how can Posh... Ginger Spice was always my favorite, but Posh Spice is not coming back. I mean, what's that noise? Come on, man. And she said the same thing. She said, I've got businesses to run. I can't take 3 months of my life off because I'm, making millions and millions of dollars elsewhere. I get that. But you know what? It's the Spice Girls, man. If you're going to have Tony Stark still alive in the MCU, you got to have a little pepper sprinkled in there, give that seasoning, give that flavor, because
you got to have a little pepper. There's your next t-shirt. You got to have a little pepper
because, man, I'm a huge Gwyneth Paltrow fan. I'm a huge Shakespeare in Love fan. I've always liked her, despite, that she named her daughter Apple, whatever. She was married to a rock star. I get it. But I love their relationship. And I think it was hella cute when she called him, and Tony Stark is sailing off in an alien spacecraft, and they last spoke over the, it gives the whole thing. It brings it all back down to brings it all home. But it still makes me think of the fact that Posh Spice is not going to be part of the Spice Girls reunion, which bums me out.
But isn't there also a little bit of an element of like a Hugh Jackman thing? Like when Hugh Jackman finally announced that he was stepping down and going, there was no backlash. It was all like, you know what? He's earned it. He's done however many movies. And really, now granted, she hasn't always played a huge role, although her most significant role was probably Iron Man 3. But, she's appeared in 7 MCU films?
Yeah.
Somewhere along those lines. I mean, she got the MCU started with it. At some point, I think we just got to go, you know what? You were in this franchise a lot longer than most actors are in any franchise. Thanks for bringing us this character. And the interesting thing here is, if they're saying she could come back from cameos, look, her Spider-Man Homecoming appearance, that didn't take 2 weeks to shoot. She probably showed up on set for 1 day.
Right.
And did that. And, we could probably see some of that in the future, which brings us to the other part of the question, though, Rob, that is most intriguing to me. If they're saying Pepper's gone, she may come back. Does that kind of put an explanation point on the notion that maybe Tony dies? Like, me, my starting assumption is that Tony doesn't die in this. But if they're saying Pepper's now retiring from this thing, you can't explain Pepper not being around if Tony's still around. Like, does this kind of give more weight to the theory that Tony Stark dies in this one?
I don't know. I mean, it's she can be around and Tony can be around, and you just they talk about their relationship off screen. I mean, I don't think it necessarily means one thing or another. I don't want to speculate about this. I just know that The only reality of my life is that Posh Spice is absolutely has said she's not part of this new Spice.
You know how to keep your priorities straight. I like that. Well, Ash, like, do you think that an absence of Pepper means an absence of Tony? Do you think, as Rob is saying, that it really shouldn't affect it all that much?
I don't think it has to. I mean, I understand that, if she's not around, then they might tie that story together and be like, oh, she's not around anymore because he's not around anymore. But it doesn't need to necessarily be that. I think I'm surprised. I didn't even think that she was in 7 of the films. That was like,
I'd have to go through because you got Iron Man 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Avengers. You've got Spider-Man Homecoming. You've got Infinity War. She makes a brief appearance. Remember, she's in the plane. I believe it was in Age of Ultron. I think she's in that plane getting called. So there's 7.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's at least 7. It's at least 7 that she's at least appeared in to one degree or another. So, and then who knows? Does she appear in Far From Home? We don't even know that Tony appears in Far From Home. So I guess there's nothing to speculate about there. All right, guys. That's it for all of our main topics today. But as we like to do here on the John Campea Show, since we do the show live every day, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we like to take live questions from you guys. A bunch of you guys have been firing in a whole ton of live questions. So, Ashley, what is up first today?
First one is Adam Martinez. Captain Marvel tracking up to 120 million.
Yeah, so basically what happened is this. Box Office Pro comes out and says 160 million. And by the way, Box Office Pro is still saying 160 million. But
So
Variety came out, and so do you, Rob. But then Variety came out and said 100 million. So Box Office Pro is still saying 160. Variety says 100. Now, Variety has upped that estimate to 120. Rob, you still think this thing's going to come into the 100 and 60 range?
I do. Again, we only hear what our punditry environment has to say, and I think that there's a huge awareness of this movie amongst the general population, especially mothers with daughters. I think this is going to be a gigantic movie for a lot of people, more than we even are aware of.
Okay, so I'm still leaning towards the 100 million. Like my original number is 90. I'm leaning closer to 100, but we'll see how it works out. Hopefully it's as good as they're saying it is, and hopefully if it is, it gets the money it deserves. All right. What's next?
Adam Martinez goes on and says, good reviews. Disney must be paying them, right?
I know, it's crazy. The one thing I remember once I talked to somebody about is who was just dead certain that Disney pays critics is right. Okay, so show me all these MCU movies that the public hates, that the critics are giving positive scores to anyway. Oh, they don't exist? Well, there goes your theory. Listen, I have once collected a paycheck from a studio. I used to get paid by Lionsgate. And I was always very open and forthright about this. I used to get money from Lionsgate because I used to run a show on the Comic-Con HQ network called Film HQ. And Lionsgate was the company behind Comic-Con HQ, and so they paid me. And so I was always very, very clear whenever I was reviewing a new Lionsgate movie, which I think every Lionsgate movie I reviewed when I was under their employment, I gave a negative review to. But anyway, I was always very clear when talking about a movie that was a Lionsgate movie or reviewing a movie that was a Lionsgate movie. I was always very clear. Hey guys, just so you're aware, my paycheck comes from Lionsgate. I get a paycheck from Lionsgate. I do get paid from them, just so you're aware of this. Now, I ended up disliking most of the movies anyway. But it's a ridiculous notion that people like to pretend is a real thing because it doesn't jive with what they want their reality to be.
Right.
But whatever. Okay.
By the way, I'm still waiting for my fat check from any studio.
Any studio. Really am. I'll take one from anybody at this point. I will take one from anybody at this point.
By the way, Gilbert is here. That's my dog Gilbert. He's
Hey,
Look, Gilbert. Here's Gilbert, everybody.
It's Gilbert.
It's Gilbert.
Oh, hi, Gilbert's adorable.
He's also gigantic. Look, you're on the internet, Gilbert.
He looks like buddy. A big dog. All right.
You're a big, gigantic dog. Give me a kiss, baby.
All right. What's next?
Mike Hill. If Marvel was a football team, they would win the Super Bowl year after year. Sounds like yet another fantastic win for them. I can't wait.
Yeah, they are kind of the New England Patriots right now. We're just every time they put out a movie, it's like clockwork. They put out a movie, audiences love it, critics love it, makes lots of money. Probably going to be the same thing here again. And you're right. That's a great analogy, Mike. I like that analogy a lot. All right, what's next?
Daryl Bliss Wadley. Hey, John, did you watch Punisher season 2 yet?
I still have not seen Punisher season 2 yet. And you know what? I was getting ready to watch it, Robert. I was getting ready to watch it.
And not yet?
I was going to start watching the next day or two, but then you and a whole bunch of people have just been yap about this Umbrella Academy.
Oh my God, dude,
John,
it's so good.
You got to see the Umbrella Academy. So that's what I've got queued up now. So me and Ann are going to start watching Umbrella Academy. So Punisher season 2 is going to have to wait a little bit longer. But you really like this show, right?
Oh my God. And Punisher was good.
Oh my God.
Umbrella Academy is so good. I mean, Umbrella Academy is so sprawling in its genre-ness. And it's very surprising. And the cast is incredible. You're going to love it.
Remind me what it's about, or what genre, or what is it?
Well, it's science fiction superhero, and it's basically about one day, all these women around the world who were not pregnant when the day began, all give birth. Yes, all give birth, and there is a billionaire, Mr. Hargreaves, who gathers up a gaggle of these kids, like 7 of them, and raise them to be a superhero team to save the world because they all have various abilities. One can travel through time. I don't want to ruin the surprises. One of them doesn't appear.
Yeah, we got to move on. We can't hang on one question for too long. It sounds
Check
a
it
little
out.
It sounds a little X-Men-ish.
It has that.
All right, what's next?
Luke, 1234. Rob, it's Comic Book Wednesday. Woo!
Yes. And you should buy comics, please. You know, John Schnepp, the spirit of John Schnepp looks down upon all of us on Wednesdays, hoping we all go buy
Keep
comics
the industry
at our
going,
local
guys.
store.
All right, what's next?
Dim Sum 05, over under 50%. Billy Baxton gets mouth covered by Sivia.
Whether it's him or any other character at all, you know that where the superhero triggers his superpowers by speaking a word, at some point somebody's going to cover his mouth and keep him from transforming. I'm going to set a high number for you, Rob, and honestly, take 90%. I'm going to set the over-under number as that. 90% that happens is Shazam. Do you take the over the under?
I think I'd go 100%.
Yeah, I can't see them not doing it. All right, what's next?
Dim Sum 05, you used to call Megan Fox Hollywood's liquid sex. Does she still hold that title today?
Yeah, there are some people. I said that about a couple people. I said that about Megan Fox and Javier Bardem. I said there are some people that are just ooze so much sexiness. They're just liquid sex, or sometimes what I would refer to as just liquid porno, just like in a bottle. And that was Megan Fox for a period, and that was Javier Bardem. I would still say they're both like unfairly stupid attractive.
Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street. Margot Robbie in Suicide Squad. Margot Robbie falls under that too. They are just some human beings that are just unfairly attractive.
Yeah, but
including myself.
Margot Robbie does a lot more, Oscar-winning performances, whereas Megan Fox,
yes,
kind of sticks to.
Although I will say this though, Megan Fox did a spin on New Girl.
Oh, I like her in New Girl.
I did too. I was surprised. I thought, really, you're bringing in Megan Fox? And I, quite frankly, was kind of impressed. I thought she was a really cool character.
A lot of people are like, oh, she's so robotic. But I'm like, no, she plays the character really well because her character is supposed to be that essence. So
yeah, I agree. I liked her in it. Mm-hmm. All right, what's next?
Aviator 986, John, Robert, Jocks, care to do the honors?
Okay, so Aviator's asked me this question before, and it was basically Robot Jocks. Like, was it like what did I think about it? Was it like the first mecha kind of movie? And then he tried to ask the question for you the other day, Rob, but you weren't here. So, Rob, remember Robot Jocks? Did you see it? What did you just quickly? What did you think about it?
I loved, Robot Jocks, directed by Stuart Gordon, who directed Reanimator and From Beyond. It stars Gary Graham, who I got to work with on the Axonar project. I love me some Robot Jocks.
Yeah, that's great. And I can't think of any kind of mecha movie before that. Like, that's the first one I can think of to my memory. Live action.
Yeah,
like, can you think of one that comes before that?
No, I don't think not really in America. I mean, that was made by Charlie Band and at Empire, and it's who I used to work for, and it's a lot of fun. I really like that movie.
All right, what's next?
KW Garrett 83. Which CB villain would 3 of you be? How about Ashley as Hela, RMB as Lex Luthor, and John as Condiment King? Eggs and ketchup drove him to madness.
Condiment King. There's one that doesn't get thrown out there an awful lot. I have no idea. I mean, we all we all imagine ourselves as superheroes. I don't know which. I mean, I would love to be Magneto only because Magneto is my all-time favorite comic book character, but I don't have one.
I want to be Brother Blood. I want to have a weird religious cult surrounded by women like Mother Mayhem, and just basically be able to drink blood and just be really evil and bark at the moon and sacrifice virgins.
I'm into Catwoman. I mean, I have a cat, so why not?
Yeah, she's more of a hero now. She's more of a hero now, but
a villain.
But Catwoman would be good. All right, what's next?
Riddler, female Riddler. Dim Sum 05. If there's only one thing you could have changed in Alita, what would it be? I would change the dialogue.
Yeah, dialogue's a big one. Now, look, for the record, I liked Alita Battle Angel, and it did the most important thing, which I think you need to do, get me emotionally connected to the hero. And Alita is a great character, and I got emotionally attached to her immediately. That, combined with the great action, great visual effects, to me outweighs the negatives of the film, which is a lot of cheesy dialogue, a love story that just doesn't work, and to me, an atrocious ending. But overall, it's a good, fun film, mainly because you get attached to that character. I'm going to go with you on that. I mean, I would totally change the ending too, but I'm going to say the first thing it's got to change is the dialogue. All right, what's next?
Daryl Best Wadley. Which is the better comedy? 40-Year-Old Virgin, Superbad, Office Space, or There's Something About Mary? These are my top favorite comedies.
Wow.
Well, for me, you guys know that my all-time favorite comedy is 40-Year-Old Virgin. Sometimes it shares the top spot with Noises Off for me, with Christopher Reeve and John Ritter and Carol Burnett and Michael Caine. But 40-Year-Old Virgin. To me, there's such a gap between 40. I love Superbad. I love Office Space. We talked about that the other day. But to me, there's a big gap between 40-Year-Old Virgin and those films. What about you, Rob?
I go with you. I mean, I love 40-Year-Old Virgin. The only thing that there's no action figure verisimilitude in 40-Year-Old Virgin. But other than that, yes. I love Catherine Keener. That movie is so funny.
Yeah,
I love it all. But then again, I love Superbad too.
I was going to say Superbad.
So good.
Superbad's great. All right, what's next?
Tyler Yeats rented Bohemian Rhapsody on PS4 and really enjoyed it. Also rented The Front Runner. Haven't watched it yet. Have you seen it? If so, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like The Front Runner. It wasn't as I was blown away by the trailer, and I was super excited because Jason Reitman, Hugh Grant. One of these days I'll get it right. Hugh Jackman. In it, it's based on something I remember, a political story from when I was a kid and all that kind of stuff. It's a good movie. It's solid. I was kind of thinking this was going to be an Oscar contender movie. Wasn't quite that, but it's a very solid film. Rob, did you have a chance to see it?
I have not seen it yet. I really want to see it. I mean, I love Bohemian Rhapsody, but I really want to see The Front Runner. I mean, I lived through that Gary Hart storyline, and he was somebody that everybody wanted to vote for, and he was somebody that I liked, and then he got caught up in, I guess he got caught with his pants down, and I really want to see the film.
All right, what's next?
Aviator and 986. Apparently, films Crash and Burn and Robot Wars were sequels to Robot Jocks in other countries, but despite similarities, the plots were unrelated.
That's intriguing. I don't even remember Crash and Burn or Robot Wars. Rob, are you familiar with either one of those?
Yes. Crash and Burn was another movie that they made there at Full Moon, and they aren't direct sequels, and they're not as good as Robot Jocks. But it's when these movies get released in other countries, it's like my beloved Star Crash has a sequel, Star Crash 2, that has nothing to do with the original Star Crash. They just named it that for marketing's sake. So it's not unusual for other countries to do that.
All right, let's move on. What's next?
Patrick Conway, girlfriend and I are dog people, so Captain Marvel concerns me.
I'm with you, Patrick. I am absolutely a dog person. I do not like cats. A friend of mine was over here the other night. Erin Cummings, you guys remember her. She was over here the other night with her husband, Tom. Who do you remember that show, Limitless? He was one of the stars of Limitless. Anyway.
Yeah, I like that show. I like the movie and the show.
So they were over here, and they have a little dog, but then they mentioned that they also have a cat. I said, you have cats? And they go, yeah. And I said, how long have you had this problem? That's kind of my attitude towards cats.
We have a cat and a dog.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably have ketchup on your eggs too. Okay, what's
No.
next? Oh, that's true. You don't. Okay, I'll cut you some slack on that one. What's next?
Willow Yang, no questions. After the 3 hours plus of videos both you and Rob did yesterday, I just hope that you still have voices left.
I did 5 hours of videos yesterday. As a matter of fact, I did one 3-hour video doing a companion video, but at least we got all caught up on the companion videos. And we did the show, and then I did another show. It's like, yeah, like we did a lot of streaming yesterday, Rob.
Well, I did. I had a little problem with super chats. I need to talk to you about.
Oh yeah, we'll get that fixed.
Some of them disappeared, and I didn't. It's just my inexperience. So I went back and did another video that I was just going to answer a few questions, and it turned into another hour-long stream. So
We'll
I
get
want to
that
thank
fixed
I think what's great about it is we have a really great constituency of fans that support us and watch.
Yeah.
And I've been so surprised with everybody that I've met, especially through this show and through other shows and my own show. It's great to have you all here.
All right, what's next?
Zachary Buckler saw No Escape last night. Not a phenomenal movie, but I was really impressed with Owen Wilson. Got to stop judging actors based on previous movies.
No, Owen Wilson has shown that he can turn in some pretty good things. That was a nifty little movie. Pierce Brosnan, Lake Bell. I mean, one big issue I had with it was that the marketing made it look like it was starring Owen Wilson and Pierce Brosnan, and Pierce Brosnan isn't exactly in a lot of that film.
No.
So I found that a little bit deceptive because I was excited about that. And I've got a little bit of a crush on Lake Bell. But by the way, guys, I always like to bring this up. Lake Bell, Jason Sudeikis, and a couple of people from The League have this great little comedy that came out about 6 years ago called A Good Old-Fashioned Orgy. I know that title sounds odd, but the movie is hilarious and it's charming, and you got to check it out if you get a chance. But I didn't think it was great. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think the movie was great, but I did enjoy it. And you're right. Owen Wilson is a better actor than he often gets credit for. All right. What's next?
Best D14 for you. Favorite Bond films per actor. For me, Goldfinger, Man with Golden Gun, License to Kill, GoldenEye, Casino Royale.
Dude, we can't answer that. I mean, that's something we need to sit down for a few minutes and kind of chart out and stuff like that. I will tell you that my favorite Bond is actually Daniel Craig. To me, he is the perfect hybrid of the suave Roger Moore and the badass Sean Connery. And he's kind of like the two of them had a baby, and it's the Daniel Craig Bond. And that's what I love about him. So I can tell you that much. Do you got a favorite, Rob?
I'm a Sean Connery. I mean, being a huge Bond fan, I'm a Sean Connery guy. But, I've loved all the Bonds in the various roles for various reasons. It's hard because to me, they're about the era that we saw them in. I mean, Connery was the perfect 60s Bond. Roger Moore was perfect for the 70s. I thought Dalton was a great Bond when they introduced him.
I liked him too, yeah.
He only had 2 movies. You know what? I'm a George Lazenby fan too. For that transitional movie, On Her Majesty's Secret Service is one of my favorite Bond films. But I think Daniel Craig, like you said, is the perfect modern Bond. And I mean, he's virile and he's tough and he will kick your ass. And yet, the stuff with Eva Green in Casino Royale when they first meet on the train, yes. I'm like, this guy is one suave operator, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. I love Eva Green in that. And
I love her most things.
Mine is Casino Royale, but then also I have love for GoldenEye, especially because I used to play Bond 64 all the time.
Who among us did not
a really good movie.
Hours of GoldenEye, though. It's like the original popular first-person shooter. I mean, like, all due respect to the other games and everything, but that was great. All right, what's next?
The other black guy, Clockwork Orange, Back to the Future, and Double Indemnity are my top 3, but my girlfriend says they're too old to watch. How do I convince her that they're great?
Quality doesn't age. Quality doesn't age. And I'm going to assume by Double Indemnity, you mean the 1940, 41, 42, somewhere around there.
Fred McMurray.
They did kind of another retake. The Ashley Judd and Bruce Greenwood kind of did a modern take on that, where she got convicted of murdering her husband, that he was never dead. She gets out of prison, and it comes out that he's alive, and she realizes, I can't be charged with murdering him again because I've already been charged with it. And it's great. But the 1944, I would just say, it's a good list, by the way, the other black guy. I would just say, quality doesn't age. A good story is a good story, and these ones are just kind of timeless. How would you advise them, Rob?
Well, first of all, Clockwork Orange it fluctuates with The Godfather as my favorite film of all time.
Wow.
And Stanley Kubrick, firing on all cylinders. That's a film that I think is out of time. Stylistically, I wouldn't call it old. And Back to the Future, certainly. Back to the Future, in my mind, has one of the greatest screenplays ever written. That movie's wildly entertaining, and Double Indemnity is basically the Star Wars of film noir. I mean, if you want to know about film history, watch Double Indemnity, and all three of these movies will suck you in from the very beginning. I find it, I'm sad when I hear those things. I mean, why wouldn't you have her, that other black guy, have your girlfriend give those movies 15 minutes each. You can even put them on a stopwatch. And if she's not sucked in after 15 minutes, turn them off. But I guarantee you, if you get her to give you, if she loves you, she'll give you those 15 minutes.
All right, let's move on. What's next?
There's no such thing as too old, and you have to be able to see these films and for references, and just because they're amazing. And I mean, Back to the Future, Clockwork Orange, you got to be familiar with Kubrick. All right. So the insight, Cameron McGonaghan from Shameless would make a great Joker or Riddler.
I do not watch Shameless. I've just seen a few. I've seen a few episodes of it, but I could not tell you who he is. Do you know who he is, Rob?
I've only watched Shameless a couple times. I don't know the characters by name, but I would assume that's. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
DC Patience, my hubby, good Canadian kid, loved Alita, the martial arts, visuals, action, lead actress, and main bad guy. We got our tickets to see it together.
Yeah. Again, the action sequences, you can't oversell the action sequences. They're really well done, and the visual effects are great. And there's some really cool little cameos in the film as well. And again, it's all about getting hooked on the lead character. And that lets you forget about and overlook a lot of cheesy dialogue and some very glaring plot holes and a terrible ending and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? It ends up being a movie absolutely worth seeing. I would suggest, this is what I tell people, Rob. If you thought the trailers looked good, then do give this movie a shot.
Right.
If you didn't think the trailers looked good, it may not be for you. But if you thought the trailers looked good, I think you may like this movie. Go out and give it a shot. All right, what's next?
KW Garrett 83. I was stranded on an island for 3 years and just got rescued. Psyched for Affleck directed Batman film and a university beloved Star Wars Episode 8. Did I miss anything?
No.
Yeah, we got some bad news for you. Well, first of all, welcome back, but we do have some bad news for you. Yeah, it is crazy how quickly things can change. It is crazy how quickly things can change. All right, what's next?
Randall Cartwright. Maybe you have shared this story before, but how did you and Rob meet? You guys work so well together, and Ashley is killing it. Keep it up, guys.
Yeah, Rob and I met, simple. We met on the set of the hero show that we were doing at the time. I had created this hero show. I got the great John Schnepp to be the host, and I was on it with him, and then he brought in and said, I got this guy, Robert Burnett. He's really cool. He knows his stuff. I'm like, great. And he brought Rob in, and that's how we met. We did a whole bunch of videos together, and here we are.
And it was great because you brought me onto your show, Film HQ, too. Which
That's
was
right.
a lot of fun. And I love that show. That was a great show.
Speaking of, I loved that show, too. And I love getting that sweet Lionsgate money. That was pretty sweet. I did like getting that Lionsgate money. It was pretty good.
You shill.
And you're right. Ashley has been killing it. Ashley has been doing great, and we're really lucky to have her here. So well done, Ashley.
Guys, thank you. I'm trying. All right. Chaos. I just watched Room recently, and I loved this film. I cried like 3 times watching it. Me too. Jacob Tremblay deserved an Oscar with that amazing performance.
Always got to be careful because I keep getting this wrong, and I keep saying The Room, which is a very, very different movie from Room. And, I had a lot of people, like, kudos to a lot of you guys who were saying, like, man, I don't know about, Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. And then heard me say, guys, if you have any doubts, I know a lot of you haven't seen Room. Watch Room, the movie she got the Academy Award for. Watch it. And then I've gotten a bunch of emails from you guys going, yep, went and watched Room. Holy shit, she's good. And we've gotten a lot of that. And the movie is moving and powerful and emotional. And it just, it just pulls you in all the different directions. What would you say, Ashley, is like the overwhelming feeling you got watching that film?
Oh God, just like gut-wrenching grief and sorrow, and just the entire time I just felt like I was getting punched in the gut.
Yeah.
And it's based on a true story.
So powerful. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Helsing 7747. Wakanda is next to Nigeria, where the sunset is 6:40 p.m. So if the dusting happened at 12 p.m. New York time, it was 9 a.m. in San Francisco and 6 p.m. in Wakanda.
Excellent detective work, Helsing. Okay, so here's where this comes from. The other day on one of my shows, I can't remember if it was a companion video or an open mic, but somebody said, hey, how did Scott dust in San Francisco when it was daytime, and Fury dusted in New York when it was daytime, and a bunch of people dusted in Wakanda when it was daytime. And I was like, you know what? You may have found a little bit of a plot hole. And I did say, well, I mean, look, you can have daylight in, the West Coast and the East Coast at the same time. And I don't know how the time clock works for African nations at this point. So maybe it's possible, but you might have found a plot hole. So Helsing apparently rolled up his sleeves, did a little bit of homework, and he has solved the problem. There you go. It could have been daylight in both San Francisco, New York, and Wakanda all at the same time. Well done, Helsing. Thanks for looking that up. All right, what's next?
Herc08, I recently seen Fallen with Denzel and Embeth Davidtz.
Nice.
At first, I thought it was a silly concept, but the plot twist kept coming and coming, and that ending just confirms my dislike for cats. Hey.
I'm constantly reminded of my dislike for cats.
You guys, you just need a good one.
I had a good one. True story, my very first pet was a cat that I named Luke Skywalker. And that was my very first pet. And I did like having cats. I did. But no, I don't like cats.
You know what's great about cats, though? At any one moment, they'll steal your breath and take your life. And that's to be respected.
That's a great thing about cats. I love it. But as far as the movie, yeah, Denzel's great in it. I didn't love it, but it's a nice, solid film. And one of the ones in the repertoire that doesn't get talked about as much. Have you seen it, Rob?
Fallen?
Yeah.
I am not a fan. I wanted to love it. I believe it was directed by Gregory Hoblitz, and it was one of those movies that's right up my alley. And for some reason, I saw it once in the theater, and I was really disappointed and just put off by the plotting. But I'll go watch it again.
All right, what's next?
Herc08, what's your best movie theater experience? Mine is the director suite at Warren Theater in Oklahoma, 32 reclining heated seats with a full service menu with a waiting staff and adult beverages.
So you're not talking about one particular specific movie watching in theater experience. You're talking about your favorite theater to go to. Mine might be the AMC Dine-In Theater in Marina Del Rey. I've only been to it a couple times because it's a good hour drive for me to get there from here. But, I mean, the recliners go full straight out laying down. You have a little button you press to have a waiter come out to you and bring you refills of your popcorn or soda. They have a full dinner menu. They only put about 30 seats in the theater. It's a magnificent movie-going experience. It is and they bring you a blanket if you want one to. It is a magnificent movie-going experience. So if we're not talking about any specific movie, I would say, yeah, the Dine-In Theater Marina Del Rey is pretty awesome. What about you, Rob? You got a favorite theater you like going to?
Well, it's not so much a favorite theater as a surprising experience. I was actually in Bulgaria in 2008, and we were going to go see, believe it or not, Sex in the City with some of the people that I was working with. And I was like, I was completely prejudicial against the fact that we're going to go see a new movie in a theater in Bulgaria. So we go to this theater in Bulgaria, and it was really, really nice. I mean, the interior, the auditorium was great. And I'm like, there's no way that the projection is going to be up to snuff or the stereo sound. And I was blown away. Here I walked into it. I was very prejudicial against the movie-going experience in Bulgaria, and I was convinced it was going to be substandard. It was better than 99% of the movie theaters I've been at in the United States, especially if I've traveled outside of the LA area. And I just sat there going, wow. And the popcorn was great. The whole ambiance was great. The theater was new and sparkling, and I felt ashamed afterwards. I'm like, man, you learn something new every day.
Ashley, you got one that you particularly like going to?
I go back and forth. Like, I like art house theaters, like smaller ones, but I also like when you're actually at a theater and it feels like it has really like ornate environment, and it feels like maybe you're at like a theater or an opera house or something like that. But I used to live in Austin, Texas, and the Alamo Draft House was like my favorite to go to because
that's a big one out there.
I mean, it's so fun. They have the waiters come out. You can get a full menu, full service, and they also have like a lot of interactive shows and a lot of throwback movies. So if I was going to say a theater, I would say the Alamo Draft House.
I've got my issues with some pretty big serious issues with the Alamo Drafthouse, but I will say this, man. One of the other things they do really great is they will not fool around. They will straight up throw your ass out of the theater if you pull your phone out. And it's like, yes, more theaters need to do that. Some fool pulls out, just straight up throw them out. I love it. True story, though, about you mentioned seeing Sex in the City.
Yeah.
True story. I was on a date when I went to go see Sex in the City for the first time. I was taking this girl out who's totally into it. And I got to the theater. First of all, I picked up this girl. And it's like, she had decked out her best shoes, her best handbag, her everything. It's like, I thought she was being ridiculous, to be frank with you, but whatever, I wanted to impress her. So I take her to see Sex in the City, and we get there. The theater is like all packed with women, all decked out in their best shoes was a big thing of the evening. I guess that's a big thing in Sex in the City.
Man.
Yeah,
all of them had their best handbags and decked out and looked great. And finally, we're sitting in the movie theater waiting for the movie to start. And I looked around and I realized, I think mine is the only penis in this auditorium. And it was about 2 minutes before the movie start, and I actually yelled out, seriously, are there any other guys here? And this one dude near the back goes, I'm here, brother. And like we just rolled up our hands and stuff like that. And like it was just the two of us. And there you go.
When we saw the film,
you know what? I'm not going to lie. I kind of liked the first one. I did. The second one was terrible,
But you know, the girls and the Bulgarian girls that we had gone with, they're like, are women in America really like that? And they were very upset. They're like, we weep for you American men. And I'm like, well, what can I say?
We weep for you American men. All right, let's move on here. What's next?
Patrick Conway, Hank Voight is the most badass on-screen cop.
You know what? So Hank Voight, there's not a lot of shows I watch regularly, but one of them is actually, and probably the trashiest one I watch, is Chicago PD. I don't watch Chicago Fire, I don't watch Chicago Med, but I do watch Chicago PD. And yes, the Hank Voight character on that show is like one of my favorite television cop characters ever. I just love it. And I think he's the main reason why I watch that show. All right, what's next?
Best D14 for me, Superman made the other leaguers superfluous in the end of Justice League. I'm nervous CM might be the same in Endgame. I hope they utilize her abilities rather than depend on them like how they use in Scarlet.
I can see where you're coming from there, Bess, but let me propose this argument, because I've heard other people say something similar to this before, that, you know, Superman showed up at the end of Justice League and it just made it the point of everybody else pointless. Nobody else needed to be there. No. That's not true at all. Watch that movie again. Could Superman by himself go toe-to-toe and take out Steppenwolf? Yes. But guess what? There was a lot more going on. Like, there were people, like, at some point, Superman and Flash both had to split up to save certain people. And he couldn't have gone and done that if the rest of the Justice League wasn't still there to keep Steppenwolf occupied and to continue the battle against him and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people I find focus on, well, Superman could have beat Steppenwolf by himself. Yes, but there was so much more going on at the time that Superman wasn't in a position to be able to deal with completely alone. He needed the Justice League to handle the whole job. It wasn't a one-man job, not even Superman. It was everybody needed to be there and contribute for them to ultimately get the win. With Captain Marvel, look, again, it's all about Kevin Feige. Is Kevin Feige going to have it so Captain Marvel just swoops into Endgame? She may be the most powerful being in the galaxy, but is Kevin Feige? I almost said Kevin Marvel. You might as well just rename him Kevin Marvel. Kevin Marvel. He's Kevin Marvel. Is Kevin Marvel going to allow Captain Marvel just sweep into Endgame and make everybody else pointless? Do you really think, even for a second, that Kevin Feige, aka Kevin Marvel, is going to have that happen? Do you really think Kevin Feige is going to do that? I really don't. Will she play a major role? I believe she will. But will she make all the other characters' presence there pointless? Nah, Kevin Feige ain't going to do that. How do you see that, Robert?
No, I mean, I think, look, every superhero's got to have, they've got to have their limitations. And I do think she's not going to be some Deus Ex Machina who's going to come in and save the day. You know, I think that she will play an integral part to whatever shenanigans they're going to get up to in Endgame. But even she is not going to be able to save the day entirely, I would imagine. There's going to be losses.
Big losses. Big losses. All right, what's next?
Rogue Mammoth. What if you could see Endgame tonight? What if tomorrow the theories and speculations could be over? Isn't that worth fighting for? Isn't that worth dying for?
Man, I think there are some times that people will ask me, Robert, hey man, if you can go see this movie tonight, would you go see it if you could just go watch it by yourself and see it and finally see it? And there are movies like Man of Steel that I would go, no, because Gilbert wants to see it. When I see Man of Steel for the first time, I want to see it with the audience. That's how I want to see it. And I feel the same way about Endgame.
I completely agree with you. I mean, one of my favorite movie going experiences of the last decade or 2 decades was seeing Infinity War with an audience of our fellow pundits and John Schnepp and everybody. The electricity in that audience was palpable. Yeah. I mean, you could feel it. Everybody was bouncing. It feels like everybody took that cotton candy injection right into their veins and, just, oh my God. And it was so, watching the film, I mean, when Red Skull showed up, people were gasping, and it was just so much fun. And I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. And I hope that we can do that with Endgame.
Yep. So I can honestly say, if I had the option tonight to run over to Kevin Marvel's house and say, hey, John, do you just want to come over and watch the final lock of the film? I got it over here at my place. We'll pick up some Smirnoff Ice because that's pretty much the only alcohol I drink. I'm a very manly drinker. I'll pick up a pack of Smirnoff Ice and, we'll have some Diet Coke and we'll watch the thing. Come on over. I go, Kevin Marvel? Can't do it. Can't do it. I got to see this in a full theater. I got to see this in a full
I would
theater.
go to Kevin Feige's house to see Endgame if he asked.
I'm not being facetious. I would honestly say no.
What about meeting Kevin Feige and hanging out and being
I've met Kevin Feige. I've met Kevin Feige tons of times. I moderated panels with him. It doesn't matter. I've had him in the studio before. He's been in my studio and did interviews with. Nah. Now, if I've never met Kevin Feige, I still wouldn't. Wouldn't. I want to see this movie for the first time with an audience.
Gilbert just said you're crazy.
I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. All right.
I want to go to Kevin Feige's house. If he wants my number, John, if he texts you and asks if I want to come over, please tell him yes.
I'll let him know I got somebody who can come in my place. Yeah. All right. What's next?
I'm like, ditto. Nicholas Glenn, how much of the initial Captain Marvel reviews do you think are just a form of marketing and not an actual review, but just a spin to try to get people out to see it?
But it's not Disney writing these reviews. As much as some people who with tinfoil hats on want to believe that like critics. No, this is Peter Soretta, the founder and editor of Slash Film. He does not give a shit about any studio or any movie. He is going to tell you straight up if he liked a movie or not. Jim over at IGN does not give a shit. He's going to tell you if he liked a movie or not. This isn't a marketing department. These aren't things they actually showed it to these real people, a number of whom I know for a fact were very skeptical about this film and were so confident in it. They said, and by the way, guys, when you're done watching the movie, go ahead and post your thoughts on the movie on social media. Just go ahead and do it. That's how confident they were. And so, no. Now, will Disney at some point take the things that these people are saying and use them in marketing? Oh, they'd be fools not to. But no, none of this is not marketing. The marketing is Disney going, we know people are going to like this movie. And so in marketing terms, we want them to share their thoughts. Right. So go ahead. And then they want to get a second rush of buzz and news cycle by then having the official review embargo lift on March 5th. So they get a big push of positive buzz, at least that's what they're hoping, a big push of positive buzz by lifting the social media embargo, and then another big push of positive buzz by then lifting the full review embargo. So it's not a marketing thing. I mean, you can live under your bridge and you can have your tinfoil hat on and you can be one of these people who just doesn't like to live in the real reality that the rest of us live in and try to pretend that we're everybody's rolling in Disney money, which I guess means whenever we give positive reviews to Warner Brothers money, we're also rolling. By the way, I have just as many people accusing me of being on Warner Brothers payroll as I do of being on Disney's payroll. So I don't know why my car is a 1999 car. You'd think I can afford something better. But yeah, I can assure you that that is not the case.
There's something else to consider too, is that these people's reviews are why you keep coming back to hear their punditry. And if they suddenly were not giving honest reviews that jibed with their audience, nobody would listen to them anymore. So there is a certain thing to be said for, look, we're in this for the long game. I mean, I'm not the studio's going to, even if they paid you for reviews, how much do you think you'd get paid for a good review? $50? Like, it's not like you can live off that. It's more important.
You think I'm going to endanger my career for $50? Yeah, no. I mean, yeah. Anyway, all right, let's move on. What's next?
Haskell 420. John, what happened to your Twitter account?
Oh, real simple. Actually, this is a crazy story. Okay, so some of you guys will know that, because some of you even emailed me about it because you noticed what was happening. About a week or 2 weeks ago, I changed my sign-off at the end of, to try to get everybody prepped. I changed my sign-off at the end of the show because I always go, and don't forget, guys, follow me on Twitter, simply at John Campea. I changed that about a week or two ago to, hey, guys, make sure you follow me on Instagram at blah, blah, blah. And I'd mention the Twitter too, but I'd say, follow me on Instagram at John Campea. And that was because when I met Ashley, one of the things that really made me at first lean towards her as hiring her for this gig was she came in like with all these ideas about leveraging and using Instagram. And I was never really big on Instagram, and I've kind of been wanting to get off Twitter for a while. But I wasn't really well versed on Instagram and how to use it. I mean, I got like 20,000 followers on it, but I would post like a picture a week, I guess. And she had all these great ideas and blah, 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 blah. And so I finally decided a couple weeks ago, I'm going to move all my social media stuff over to Instagram. I just got to get a few things in order first. So yeah, so then yesterday I actually made the switch, and I am now exclusively posting my social media stuff on Instagram. It's still the same location, at John Campea. So it's Instagram, at John Campea is my handle there. So that's where I am. And I will still be posting a little bit on Facebook, but really Facebook, I haven't been posting too much at all in a while, but it is the place where my aunts and my mom and my sisters all follow me and I interact with them. So I'm going to keep my Facebook thing up. And of course we have our Patreon supporter Facebook page. So we're going to continue to be active there. But yeah, if you want to follow John Campea on social media, the only place to do it is on Instagram. And that's where you can find me. All right, what's next?
All right, so you heard it from John. He was thinking about getting off Twitter, guys.
But you're the one who pushed me to Instagram, though.
Yes.
You're the one who pushed me to Instagram.
He pushed himself out of Twitter, but I think it'll be great, actually. All right, Patrick Conway, with Black Widow rumored to start shooting this spring and Jack Schaefer writing since January 2018, I highly doubt any Punisher or DD in it. It's too soon.
It might be. Yeah, it might. No, that's a perfectly legitimate observation. And we've seen situations where that can be worked around, but that is a solid, valid point you raise. All right, what's next?
Orange Hand, Endgame's secret villain, ketchup on eggs.
There you go. And cats. Ketchup on eggs, cats, and pineapple on pizza. There you go. Those are the villains that everybody's got to team against and try to rid the world of. All right, what's next?
Bill Lumber, if everyone can shut up about episode 9 title, that would be great.
But you know what? Here's the thing. People are excited. You know, when people are excited, I mean, that's the thing. You know, you hear some people say, nobody cares about Star Wars anymore. Really? Everybody's like clamoring just to find out the title of the new movie. Now, I am certainly not saying that. I don't think Star Wars Episode 9 is going to join the $2 billion club. I don't think that at all. But it is crazy. Like, just for the title, people are like speculating and writing. It's like, why the hell haven't they given us a title and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. Don't worry, guys. It's all coming in April. Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. They will. I have no doubt they're going to drop a trailer and they're going to drop the title. And that's where all will be revealed. All right. What's next?
Madeline P. Excited for Captain Marvel. Do you think it'll flop?
Okay. I think so. I think that was asked me the same thing a couple of days ago. Look, I still don't believe, like Rob does, that this is a $1 billion film. I just think it's not a character that's been introduced in the MCU yet, unlike Black Panther was, unlike Wonder Woman was in Batman vs. Superman, unlike Aquaman was in Justice League. This is a character that had not been introduced yet. Like Spider-Man was in Civil War. Character we haven't seen yet, haven't been introduced to yet. Well, I don't think it can make $1 billion. But to suggest that a Captain Marvel movie will flop, That's suggesting that this movie, grand total worldwide, is going to make about $375 million or less. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. It's just inconceivable that would happen. Now,
$10, it makes $1 billion.
I take you up on that. I don't think it'll make $1 billion.
Right here, $10.
I hope you're right. I hope it's good enough to justify it. But like, it doesn't mean the movie's going to make 700 million. Doesn't mean the movie's going to be 800 million. But to say it's going to flop, that means it's got to significantly lose money. And to lose money, it's got to make about 375 million total. And that just ain't going to happen. That's just not going to happen. Even if it's the worst MCU movie ever, even if the movie is garbage, it'll make more than 375. So yeah, I just don't see that happening.
But
Rob.
Doesn't everybody want it to be great? Like, I don't understand. Like,
no, there are people. Awesome. There are people who just don't want it to be good. There are people that are actively hoping that the movie is bad.
I know. They're going on and posting negative things because of what Brie Larson said. I'm like, I don't even understand. Like, why in the world would somebody want the endeavors of literally thousands of people that is being made for the world at large to not be great?
I don't get it. Gonna hate.
Yeah,
hate is gonna hate.
All right, what's next?
Orange Hand, would it be too corny for an upcoming He-Man movie to reference the "Hey Ya" internet meme, or would it depend on how it's done?
I'm not even completely sure what that is, to be honest with you. I'm not sure which one that is. I see a lot of memes all the time, and I don't know which one that is. Are either of you guys clear on it?
Is that
what are you talking about?
I'm not sure. Is that the one where one guy looks toward a new girl and the old girl's walking past him?
Are we all old? What's happening?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
You gotta be a little bit more clear, Orange Hand. All right, we got time for just a few more. What's next?
Dominic Rosario just rewatched Whiplash, and that final scene was so good. Goes to show that with a good filmmaking, even the most simple premise can be so powerful.
First of all, the movie that got the great J.K. Simmons his Academy Award, which is awesome.
So good.
Showed the world how good of an actor Miles Teller is.
Incredible.
Because a lot of people forget Miles Teller's been in some bad films, so they forget he's an awesome actor. And directors love working with him because he actually brings it. And he was so good. J.K. Simmons talks a lot about how, hey man, I don't win that Academy Award if it wasn't for Miles Teller. And he was great in a powerful film, great. And you're right. Even a simple idea can turn into a profound and deep movie if you've got the right screenwriter and the right director doing it. It can make all the difference in the world. All right, what's next?
Murray Reich, favorite movie theater chain butter popcorn?
Ooh, you know what? My favorite movie theater chain is AMC, but AMC does not have good butter. I'll tell you straight up, they do, and it's not butter, by the way. AMC does not have good topping for their popcorn. I eat it. I like having movie popcorn, but AMC's is not exactly high quality. I find ArcLight, which I don't think is in a lot of cities, but it's a very dominant theater here in town. ArcLight is my favorite theater movie popcorn. I really dig that stuff. What about you, Rob?
You know, I don't usually don't jump through the screen and throttle me. I don't usually put butter on my popcorn. I like salt. But I was going to say ArcLight as well, but I'll tell you my favorite. At Landmark theaters, they have that powdery flavoring, so you can get like white cheddar or various. If a movie theater has that powdering, that's the stuff. The white cheddar powder with great salt. That's what I love.
All right, guys. That will do it. That's all the time we have here today for this installment of the John Campea Show. Listen, a bunch of you still have some questions outstanding here. JCL is waiting. Dude Man is waiting. Brett Brooks is waiting. Santez Henderson is waiting. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to take all these questions that we have outstanding. I'm going to bring them over into our shared document, and they will be addressed later today in a new companion video I will put up later tonight. Keep your eyes open for it, guys. You sent in your questions. I'm going to make sure they get answered in a video later tonight. Keep your eyes open for that. I want to thank the people joining me here right now. Of course, the wonderful, the great, the marvelous, even if he doesn't put butter on his popcorn, nobody can be perfect, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find Gilbert and I at Burnett RM on Twitter. Find me on Instagram at RM Burnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, or at my website, theburnettwork.net.
And of course, also Ashley Whalen. Ashley, where can people find you?
You can find my cat and I on #1 on Twitter, or my Instagram is Ashley Whalen, 2 Y's in Ashley.
And of course, you guys can simply follow me on Instagram, just at John Campea. That will do it for us for now, guys. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of our day. Don't forget the John Campea Show returns again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you join us then. That'll do it for us for now. Thanks for being here. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.